And here we are back on the retaining wall project, and I got some blocks delivered. And I want to say something about I think it's 380. Anyway, like this is going to be the corner of it right there, and I guess I'm going to put it right behind the curb, and then we're just going to kind of cut the blocks around that pole, which is what I think will look the best, hopefully. But I guess I'll kind of go over how I do this. I'm sure people that watch the build retaining walls already know, but you got to start at the lowest level, the lowest point, which this side and that corner is the same height. It's going to be 5 blocks and a cap right there. Will be the finished wall height. So, and I figured the best spot to start to get my sidewalk width to where I want would be to start here with the corner block, and we'll go out from there until I get to that. I'm sure I have to cut a block in the middle or right before the corner to make that turn. But we'll set this one, and I'll go ahead and probably for today just start setting this row. And before I leave, I'd like to set this one and maybe a few of these, and then I'll run my level across to make sure, and I got my laser here to make sure the walls are the same height, both sides. But then essentially once you get that first row, both sides of the step here, you'll come over here where it jumps up. I'll either probably dig that back out and set one more, and then the next row will lay on top of these and will become the first row on this right here. So that's why you want to start at the lowest point. And you gotta get, you kind of got to get the heights 8 inches difference. But I figured out what I wanted the top of the wall to be over the whole area and what it had to be per each step. So like I said, essentially you're building 3 different retaining walls or 3 separate walls because it's not going to be hooked together. But like I said, we'll just use a level across here, do this one, and start back over leveling them on the first row, and then we'll step them up, turn them there, and then it'll be 3 rows and a cap down there. But yeah, I guess I'll film it a little bit. This is a very slow, boring process here. I spend a lot of time making sure these are dead level, and you want to level it that direction, and then that way so the wall and everything is perfectly level. And having said that, the way they make these blocks is just a local company here in town that pours concrete and color, which is just the natural finish, but this is actually one piece. That's how it's formed in the mold, and then they just take a break and break that. So that's kind of how you get this rough edge for your texture and everything like that. But at the same time, they're supposed to be 8 inches thick. Sometimes they're 1/8 and an 1/8, 1/8 and a 1/16. So like I said, I try to get that very bottom row level because that bases the whole look of the wall off of there. But you're going to get a little variance. And I go through here when I get ready to stack them, and like this junk right here, I'll knock off with the chisel and kind of smooth out. And then here's the caps right here. Used to, it was a 100-pound solid block was the cap, but now they went to a 4-inch 50-pound cap block. So even though you spend all this time getting this thing 100% level, once you get ready to go and put the cap on, sometimes they may still kind of teeter because you take a cap and stagger them. So like the one cap will start here and actually go over here, and then I glue every one of them on to help kind of add some strength to it. And I'll probably glue these corners and stuff too. So, but I mean, it's going to have a little bit of a variance or wave, and that's how the blocks look. But you still want to take the time to level and beat the first row down in there, so you know that it won't settle or it's good and in there. All right, enough talking so I can get some of this done. But yeah, I'll set the camera up for a few of them, but that way you can kind of see exactly how boring and tedious this first row is. So. And these also weigh like 75 pounds a piece, so they're I usually get a kid to come over here and help me with these, but he's busy today. We'll set this one and then I'll double check with the laser and make sure we're on track, because yeah, and I kind of get me a string lined up here. Let's see, I got my laser set up. I'm gonna have to carry these over here. I got these two ready to roll. Like I said, I want it in the middle of the bubble this way. That way, this way, maybe a hair back. Yeah, and some of them it's a pain because, like, this one's doesn't have very good texture on the top, so. And then, well, that one's way high and it won't be down that far, so. I built this pad and it's been like a week since I've been back over here, so I had to kind of reset up my laser and get all my measurements back over again. But then it's tricky too, because you want to try to keep, I try to line it up with this edge, but then this one's broke that way. Like I said, I'm picky. You can see there's a gap down there, so that tells me that either this side's just a hair low or this corner's high, which looks like this one's a hair high. It looks like it's high right there. And it's running uphill that way and that way. So you take your little mallet. This is where you got to be careful, because you can, just like that. Hit them too hard and break. Don't have my own strength. That's why I always keep a little bit of loose base. But that one does line up better on there. And you can hit these a little harder on the front. It's the backs that you don't want to usually get real carried away. See, now I got pretty close here. It's running uphill just a touch. I'm sure this is exciting to watch, because it's pretty exciting doing it. Made a little more progress. I got I rounded that corner where I'm ready for the step up. I still need to add one or two there and here. And then I got to here, and this is what I was talking about, where it kind of goes from this block and then it just jumps up, and the next row will sit on top of here and then take off that way. So now this has got like a little don't know, I call it like a foot or a tab on it, and it'll actually lock down in there, because you'll stagger them and it'll set in here, won't let it come forward anymore. And that's what kind of helps lock these together. And then when you're all done and got it all stacked, yeah, you'll backfill everything I got cut out right here with the clean rock. I just put that down inside the blocks and behind the blocks as well, and that'll kind of act like your that's your drain. And I'll still put like a 4-inch corrugated pipe, but I mean, there's people that debate whether you got to have that in there or not, because they kind of leach out the front of the blocks and through all that clean rock. Keeps the pressure off the bottom of the wall when you have that clean rock in there for the water to drain. It doesn't just push against it and blow the wall out, because that's usually the biggest wall failure. Is people will put all this time and effort into it and they just backfill it with dirt, and that water's got nowhere to go. So I always do a wider pad, compact it with base, and then use 1-inch clean rock to backfill it all the way to the top of the blocks, fill the blocks up with it, and then I'll just put my cap on. And I'll probably put like a fabric or a weed guard on the back side and the top, just to keep the dirt out of the clean rock and keep that drain clean. And then you can put 4 inches of dirt, and they can have their sod and stuff on top of there. Those go together, and you can kind of see how that locks in right there. And that's also what I was talking about with the setback. This isn't gonna, it'll look okay, but it's a little bit of a pain when you kind of got to follow a curb, because with the way that the front of these blocks, like that one right there's got a piece sticking out, so then it kind of pushes it back. So I mean, it'll work. They step back a little bit, but it's actually one of those deals that it looks better the more of them you have on there. If you look at it too closely, if it's just a few of them, then it just doesn't seem like it looks as nice, but it gives it a really nice look. Then you kind of got a line. This one's half on and half off, but it's got a seam down there at the bottom. Yep. Okay, we are back on the second day of stacking blocks. So made pretty good progress last night. I got a picture or camera or video when I got done, but I got this side, the bottom row started to my first step up, and I got 2 rows on here. I'm gonna come back and leave a little bit bigger of a gap right there, because I do put like a 4-inch perforated drain pipe behind here just to some added insurance. But the only thing I'm gonna do differently on this one is just leave a little bit of a gap before I'd cut the block and have just a 4-inch pipe sticking out the side of there. Yeah, kind of a funny, I guess funny, it's been a few years back now. I did that, and I'd put the little, there's like a grate or something that they make to go over that 4-inch pipe. Well, somehow over the years that fell off, and a possum got up inside that 4-inch drain. I had to go back to the customer's house and dig that up and retrieve that. So ever since then, that's kind of what I've been doing. Is there's not a ton of water that comes out of that pipe. It just kind of helps for the, when it hits the clean rock, it trickles down and kind of trickles out. So if I leave just a little bit of a gap in there, it'll find its way out, and I don't have to worry about an animal climbing up inside of there again, because that was a nightmare and I don't want to do that. So, but as long as you get the drain and the biggest thing is that clean rock, because that water will find the path of least resistance, so it'll run through that clean rock and take the pressure off the bottom row. We'll start laying this next row. We got a snowstorm coming in this evening, I guess, or this afternoon. They're saying anywhere between 2 and 6 inches of snow, so we'll see. I thought if I get over here today and at least get this first row, I'm just gonna continue on here and go up to my next step, and then that'll be the last level on that one. So we'll start throwing them out here and getting as many of them on this row level. Then I go back at maybe the end of the day and start trying to stack some of them. Got that row all laid down and put on. Now I'm going to come back and put the corner block on this side, and then maybe one more over there, and then stack this next row so I can start my last step up down there. But I could actually probably just set a block here and just keep going with this, but I kind of want to make sure I get this corner. I'm going to kind of line it up off the edge of the sidewalk here and then measure over to get that one right. So this is my OCD. I want to get that corner set and then make sure I can kind of line my top row up off of that. So we'll glue that down real quick, and then I'll throw this next row on and we'll carry on. Well, I don't think I made bad progress for today. It was just me. I had a friend that was going to come over here and help me. He got tied up today. I think I stacked 2 rows on this section and stepped that up right there. And then I got these 2 rows all the way down there to the end. Actually, it's 3 high, then it steps up, and then it's 2, and then down there is just 1. But kind of got my steps and stuff, my spacing and everything figured out. I got these corners glued on. So yeah, I stacked those 2, stacked the 1 row on here, and then from here down, this is everything I got done today, and got these leveled. I get, I don't know, 7-8 hour day. I don't think I did too bad. And I actually figured up right here I can use these corner blocks because they're not as wide. And then got around here, I had to kind of chisel the edge off. There's no power outlets here, so I couldn't use my block saw to cut any of these. So maybe Monday when I get back over here, there'll be somebody here and I can run a cord inside, but it'll step up and go to the next one. That's kind of what happened here. I gotta cut this one block. I think I gotta cut like 3 or 3.5 inches off of it to get it, and I'll actually cut it right there and then just slide it over. So I can't really go on with that until I get that thing cut. But yeah, actually it'll have 2 more rows all the way down, and then we'll figure out how far back we got to go for the steps. But yeah, the majority of the leveling's done. Now it's just the carrying them over there and stacking them. Get the slinger truck in here and backfill this with all the clean rock all the way over there to the dirt, to the top of the blocks. Get that all raked out, then I'll come back and put my caps and everything on. Which those would be pretty easy, except for the corners. I'll have to cut those on 45s, but then the rest of them we just kind of throw them on there and glue them on, and that's not too bad, and they're a little bit lighter. So yeah, maybe one more good day I'll have all the blocks on here. I don't know, maybe I'll get the blocks on and backfilled in one day, and then another day will be the caps. And then once I get the caps on, I can come back over here with the excavator and start pulling this dirt back, and then seeing how much more dirt and stuff I'm gonna need to level it off. So, but we're gonna head home for today and see if this snow shows up.